Hey everybody, welcome back to Colony Drop, your favorite Gundam podcast. My name is Isaac.
And my name is Brian, and this is the podcast where we talk about anything and everything related to the Mobile Suit Gundam franchise, from the anime, to the music, to the movies, to the models, to the OVAs, to the lore, to the clothes, to the food, you name it, Isaac, we do it all.
We even do something so special, Brian. We do a special something where we hold hands and we wander off into the land of imagination. Isn't that right, Brian?
Is this where I cue the World of Imagination soundtrack from, what was that, Willy Wonka?
With a swim. Is that how it goes? Or
I don't know. They definitely redid that one song for Ready Player One, which Gundam was also in, so there you go.
Ah, it all full circle.
Yes, yeah, there you go.
It becomes a nexus.
But yes, Isaac, we do that. Sometimes we do some what if scenarios. And it was maybe like 2-3 weeks ago, Isaac, you texted me, let's do a boom in the pocket episode. And I was like, oh boy, that can only mean one thing, Isaac. So
number one, I was half joking. Number two, the more I thought about it, on the one hand, yes, it's a side story. But on the other hand, if things went a different way, who knows how the butterfly effect of the multiverse would have affected the chain of events, the sequence of events, right, Brian?
Yes, and like you said, it was a little bit of a joke, and I was like, oh, I don't know that much would have changed. And then I had this like sort of big idea that launched me into a whole new sort of alternate timeline.
Like, oh yeah. God,
so
everything would have changed.
Like, oh man, this is a big problem. So yes, listeners, today we are going to discuss what would have happened had in 0080, War in the Pocket, in the Universal Century, the nuke gone off. And so I'm going to set the preface a little bit here, Isaac. So
yeah,
walk down with me down memory lane for War in the Pocket, okay?
We will, Brian, but please remember, not everybody listening has seen War in the Pocket, or maybe they forgot, or they mixed it up with like 8th MS team because they both have 8 and a 0.
Wow, the bar is low.
So remind everybody what the heck is going on in this side story, which, once again, listeners, takes place during the Universal Century.
In the Universal Century, on January 31st, 0079, the year of the One-Year War, the Federation and the Zeon forces signed the Antarctic Treaty, which banned certain weapons of mass destruction, nuclear, biological, chemical. By the way, Isaac, if I was to redo this show in the future on your list of weapons of mass destruction, would you also list nanotech and like AI? I feel like maybe you need to include those, right?
So, hang on. I'm going to actually say no, because just as we cannot outlaw a type of laser sword that doesn't yet exist, we can also not outlaw a nano weapon that does not exist, or some unfathomable artificial intelligence weapon that does not yet exist.
All right.
At that point, I don't know, we're in uncharted legal territory. I don't think we can outlaw weapons that we can't yet define or quantify.
So you need a tragedy first before you ban the weapon.
Unfortunately, yes. We do need, perhaps not necessarily a tragedy, but the clear existence of some type of new weapon that isn't the same as things we already have and have clear definitions for.
Fair enough. So not only did that treaty, Isaac, it banned weapons of mass destruction, it also banned attacks in neutral zones, such as Side 6, and it required, fair, humane treatment of prisoners of war.
Sure.
So fast forward towards the end of the war, in the 1988 OVA, 0080 War in the Pocket, great show, 6 episodes. If you haven't seen it, listeners, I would highly recommend you go watch it. We did an episode on it maybe a few years ago. It's a great show. One of the best. In that show, Isaac, a Special Forces Zeon unit named the Cyclops team, what a cool name,
so cool,
is sent to one colony in Side 6. The colony's either Libot or Ribo, depending on your translation. And Side 6 is a neutral side at this time in the war. And their mission, Isaac, is to capture or destroy the new prototype Gundam meant for Amuro Ray, the Gundam NT-1, aka the Gundam Alex. But towards the end of their mission, Isaac, towards the end of the show, their mission, which is called Operation Rubicon, it fails. And basically all the members of the Cyclops team are killed except for one at this point in time. And as a result, Zeon's Lieutenant Colonel Killing, who reports to Cecilia Zabi under the Mobile Assault Force, he's also the superior of the Cyclops team. He decides that Isaac, he's just gonna nuke the colony to finish the job, to make sure that Gundam is destroyed. Just a guy after your own heart, Isaac.
You know what, Brian? If you want something done right,
you send a nuke.
No colony, no Gundam, no problem.
That's fair.
Let's see the armor stop this.
Do you think they wrote that on the nuke too? Like Gundam Schmundam?
I think Captain Von Helsing would not allow anyone to put any type of childish or cruel message on a warhead shell.
That's probably
it's
true.
Just, yeah, he runs a tight ship, and we already know his feelings about what would actually go down.
Right.
Which raises its own questions that I'm sure we'll come to later.
Sure.
Please continue, Brian.
So Colonel Killing's superior officer, Major General Rugans, objects to this plan. He's like, hey, Killing, you can't do this because of the Antarctic Treaty. And Killing is like, the treaty doesn't apply to Side 6. He then shoots and murders Rugans. Or I can't, does he shoot himself? Or maybe he has someone else do it. Anyway,
he shoots him,
right?
He shoots him in front of like 2 other people.
Yeah, shoots him dead. And then he commands Colonel Von Helsing, who's another Zeon colonel, who is outside the colony in a Chevet class warship.
The coolest Chevet is
very
too.
cool.
Like this,
yeah.
This variant, oh my god, like it looks even better than a Musai. It looks like it probably made a couple of them could slap around a Guazine or something. But oh man, so streamlined. What a great design.
Yeah, we mentioned that in the 0080 episode that we did back in the day. A lot of the 0080 ship redesigns were like on point, and they still look very good today.
Yeah.
So he orders Colonel Von Helsing to nuke the colony on Christmas Day. By the way, Isaac, what a Scrooge, Colonel Killing is.
Merry Christmas! It's a Christmas miracle.
Oh man! So Von Helsing, though, Isaac, as you mentioned, he essentially it's not really outright stated in the show, but he kind of just doesn't listen, and he kind of just lets his ship be taken into custody by the Federation and sort of averts this what essentially would have been a war crime. And so that's the topic of today's episode, Isaac. What would have happened if Von Helsing had obeyed the order and nuked the colony of Libot or Libo?
Yeah.
So I have a really in detailed scenario, but there's also some initial questions, Isaac. One, wouldn't it have been ironic if they had blown the colony up with a nuke, but the Gundam actually survived? Like, do we think the Gundam would have survived?
How would that even have worked? Well, hang on. So I'm trying to remember. At any point, did the Federation know a nuke was on the way?
I don't think so. No,
right?
I don't think so. No.
No.
Mm-mm.
So how would that sequence of events go? That would have to have been Gundam Alex is damaged but survives,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
So at that point, Grey Phantom immediately, like within minutes or as soon as possible, gets it back on the ships and says, "We're out of here. We just survived an attack by an experimental Zeon mobile suit. God knows if there's more on the way." I think at the same time there was a small battle outside the colony too, right? Or nearby.
There was, yeah. That was, I think, what Colonel Killing was out there for, or Colonel Von Helsing, right?
Captain Von Helsing. Yeah. So that's where we saw the really cool Gelgoog variant.
Yeah. The Gelgoog Jaegers.
Which, from what I was called, was slapping around the Federation. But okay, maybe Grey Phantom says, we're getting out of here, either to join the fight in space, since inside a colony we're half useless, or to just get back to Federation space, and whoever's fighting outside, we'll deal with them later. So maybe, I can definitely see the Alex surviving. And then, of course, unfortunately, Von Helsing gets closer and decides to fire his shot. Or, sort of segueing a bit, Brian, going on a tangent, what if Killing did not send Von Helsing and sent another captain in his place who had no qualms about firing?
Someone perhaps more agreeable.
Yeah. Captain Von Agreeable. We'll go.
Do you think that's a big oversight on Killing's part to have not vetted Von Helsing's agreeableness to nukes before the mission?
To an extent, yes and no. We have to remember, by this point, the Zeon military has routinely gassed and nuked colonies, dropped colonies, and, just outright engaged in almost the entire conquest of the Earth sphere. So, Killing was, to an extent, can be forgiven for assuming, this guy's just going to follow orders like everybody else has in Zeon. Not knowing that, well, hang on. At this point, a treaty's also been signed, and Von Helsing, this isn't the nuking of like a Federation colony or a Federation fleet. This is, for all intents and purposes, a civilian. Civilian colony that's neutral. So Von Helsing, like a lot of people, I hope, took pause and said, no, I'm not going to follow these orders. Or you can give me these orders, but oh no, we're captured. Oh,
shucks, I couldn't push the button in time. Yeah. Exactly right.
My fleet's standing down. Oh no, the war's over.
Oh darn. I can't. That's the equivalent of like making fake static into your phone and be like, hey, you're breaking up. I can't hear you. Then you just hang up.
What was that last order? I can't hear you. No, we're trying to reposition to get a better signal. Captain? Commander?
Oh man. Yeah, so two things on that. One, what I didn't realize, what I failed to, or maybe I failed to remember this from the show, but the nukes that von Helsing had on board were apparently like Soviet era nukes. So they were old.
Wow.
I looked up what the biggest bomb from back then is, and as far as I know, it's still the Tsar Bomba, which I'm sure you've heard of, Isaac. That's, I believe, the biggest nuke ever built, or at least at the time.
Is,
yeah,
Brian. It was a banger.
Yeah, that's an understatement. So just to give the listeners some reference here, when that bomb was tested, there were buildings 55 kilometers away that were destroyed, like completely, in the village of Severny or Severny from where it was detonated. And the heat was so great that you could have had third-degree burns 100 kilometers away from the explosion.
Well,
you see colonies, Isaac, they're like 7 kilometers by 40 kilometers or so. So sure. I feel like unless they packed up that Gundam and took it out before it exploded, I don't think the Gundam Alex is surviving that nuke. If it's a Tsar Bomba, maybe it's not, but let's assume that it was a big one.
Yeah, there's no way the Gundam survives. If the Gundam's inside the colony, it does not survive. No matter if like somehow von Helsing shoots the missile into the colony, right, yeah, or just blows it up from the outside. Everything's gone.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could hope that he shoots one side of it and maybe the other side crumbles and it sort of jettisons everything, and it just happens to jettison the Gundam Alex into space, and you pick it up that way. I'm
going to challenge you on that, Brian, because as we've seen with just like small squads of mobile suits fighting inside a colony, these things are so fragile, like they're doomed. The nuke would just wipe out. Yeah, it's over.
Yeah, I think it's a very small possibility. So I think the plan is sound.
Yeah.
So then you bring me back to the neutrality point, Isaac. Do we agree with Killing's assessment that the Antarctic Treaty doesn't apply to Side 6? Because I feel like it exactly applies to Side 6. He was just like blowing smoke. Rugans was totally right.
Okay, so... This might be one of those things where it's like, well, there's the technicality of it, and then there's sort of the spirit of the wording.
Yeah.
So I agree with Killing to an extent that, yes, Side 6, to my knowledge, was not at the signing of the Antarctic Treaty in Antarctica.
True.
However, the people signing the treaty, which were the Federation and Zeon, are the only ones shooting at each other at Side 6.
Yes, and the treaty bans attacks on neutral sites like Side 6. So I feel like he's not standing on a lot here.
No, I agree with you. He's absolutely far more in the wrong than he is in the right. And we know that because the general, I don't know his name, General Headshot, that was above Commander Killing.
Yeah, Rugans.
He was trying to stop him.
Right.
Oh, Rugans. Yeah, he was trying to stop him at the last minute.
Yeah. He said that's BS. The treaty definitely applies. And then he got shot for his efforts. Yeah. So... Then we get into the sort of the more what if scenarios of what if it does go off, Isaac. What if it does go off?
Here we go.
Maybe this is not where you're going with it, but I actually don't think it matters that much whether it destroys the Gundam or not in terms of impacting things.
Oh, absolutely. Because we're so late in the war.
Right.
Well, hang on. Let me clarify. It doesn't so much affect this war.
Exactly.
Because the war was over in minutes after this event happened, I think, if not hours. But it certainly affects other parts of the future, which I think is where these butterfly wings start flapping away. Isn't that right, Brian?
Yes, that is right. So I agree that it would not have really changed the outcome of the 1 year war because they were going to lose in the coming days.
Sure.
One thing it may have impacted was perhaps how the 1 year war ended a little bit, because if they detonated this on Christmas Day, that's December 25th, that would have preceded the firing of the solar ray. Do you think this would have made Giran fire any faster or not fire? Do you think that would have impacted anything like that, or he just kind of wouldn't care? I mean, they were already on the back foot anyway, so I'm not sure. It wouldn't have stopped the advance to Zum City or anything like that.
I don't think even if Giran wanted to fire it sooner, he could have, because he was trying to take out Dagwin, and he already fired it so prematurely that it damaged the solar ray.
Sure.
So that was the soonest he could have fired it. It might have possibly caused Dagwin to reach out to Revel far earlier, maybe trying to deflect blame and stuff, but I don't think Revel would have bought it. And I think the war would have just almost carried on towards its conclusion with the Federation moving to take on Zeon for a final battle and clearly winning.
Right. Okay. I agree. I think overall, 1 Year War still more or less ends as it did in defeat of Zeon. That said, my biggest takeaway from this is there's a scenario where this could act as an earlier inadvertent Operation Stardust in the sense that it would cause the grievous act of destroying a civilian colony with a nuke.
Right.
Would cause the Federation to form the Titans, or at least pursue the Titans' mission much faster. And instead of waiting for Stardust to happen, perhaps they're like, no, we have to stop these people now. We cannot let the Zeon remnants flee to Axis, and we can't let them just live there. And instead cause the Federation to pursue the Zeon remnants to Axis with the goal of wiping them out immediately after the 1 Year War. I guess what I'm saying is instead of stopping at Zum City, they would just keep going.
The Federation would keep going past Zum City? What do you mean?
Yeah, so instead, because Axis at this point is in the asteroid belt.
Oh, I see.
Okay, and so all the Zeon people, they're leaving. They're going back to Axis. I think the Federation might take this act as a way of justifying it. They'd be like, look, these people are nuts. They just nuked this whole colony. We cannot let any of them live.
Yeah.
Let's finish the job. You're already out there. Just take it one more step. You just need a few people to do that, Isaac. You need Jamatov, you need a Bask. I'm not sure that either of them would have been in that position, but you can't tell me there weren't people that would have had that opinion.
Colony.
That could have stepped into their shoes and done it. I did look up where those people were, and it's a little bit unestablished, which I'm a little surprised about. So I don't know if you knew this, but Jamatov, the Gundam Tactics and Strategy Encyclopedia, mentions that there is a Earthborn General Hyman who leads the Zeon extermination operation in Africa, but it doesn't say that it was Jamatov. I'm not sure why you would name a General Hyman and have it not be Jamatov. So that's probably him. It also says that he expressed anti-space noid views.
It's him.
So it's unclear, but I would say
Typo.
there's no reason to make that reference unless it's supposed to be Jamatov.
It's him.
That said, to my knowledge, has never been expanded upon.
I see.
Now, Bask is a little more interesting. It seems like internet canon, people continually say that he was in a Zeon prison camp during the 1 Year War, and that's where potentially he got his eyes, injured.
Gouged.
Yeah, but I can't really find a source that says where this came from. I can see the same people reiterating the same thing over and over on forums, but I don't see really a source. There was one guy in Reddit named Sorenant or Sorenant. Sorry, I don't know what your name's supposed to be. Or Soren Ant, maybe. He says that this is stated in the side story of Gundam Zeta manga from 1987, which is written by Kazuhisa Kondo, who also, he's done lots of Gundam manga. Very cool artist. I'm not sure if anyone's translated that, but it is an older manga. I'm not sure how canon it is. He also then said that Tomino did write a Zeta novel, and in that novel, General Blex of the AUK, he mentions that Bask does not know the 1 Year War, which is a very vague statement. I'm not sure if that means he wasn't in combat or maybe he wasn't in the Federation at that time. But I find it very interesting, Isaac, that both Jamatov and Bask don't have a lot of history established for them. So that said, their established or sort of lack thereof established backstory does not prevent them from making their move sooner. They just would have less power to do so. Perhaps Jamatov volunteers to take his war to space after he's done on Earth. He's not tired like some of the space forces if he's been on Earth. Zeon was off Earth for a little bit, so he had a little bit of a break. He could raise his hand and say, look, give me some ships. I'll go chase them to Axis. Let's finish this thing. And he just needs a few people to sign up. And maybe his first volunteer is a recently blinded or, injured and wronged Bascom who wants revenge. And he raises his hand and, lights the fire with the Proto-Titans and gets people going. In Zeta Gundam, we end up seeing the collision or the fight between Baoku and Axis, that type of thing. And instead, what I'm saying is instead of Axis coming from the asteroid belt over to the Earth sphere, you could have the Proto-Titans in this scenario take a Baoku and just use it as a base to travel to the asteroid belt and engage Axis where they're at. That could be a whole new thing.
Yeah. Brian, I applaud your foresight because I completely forgot about Axis in the equation. And the reason I did is because my timeline was, the nuke happens.
Sure.
So, of course, there's some initial confusion. Now, who did it? Well, there's only one side nuking colonies over the last 12 months.
Right.
So Despite any objections from Zeon's government, it's pretty clear that it was Zeon.
I don't think anyone would argue with that at this point. Zeon
No.
would not have a leg to stand on.
Even the remaining supporters of Zeon on Luna or other colonies would be like, no. We know who did it. So, for that reason, like you said, Brian, the war continues as is. But in this timeline, because of what happened to Raya, Zeon itself is occupied. So there is no Axis because there's nowhere for them to escape to unless, well, I guess maybe a few people escaped, but it's far less than the ones that had time to leave the Republic of Zeon. So there's no more Republic of Zeon. It's brought back into the fold, but I fully agree with you, Brian. Yes, we get Proto-Titans far earlier than 0083 because now it's clear what these filthy spacenoids will do, how they don't respect treaties. Zeon's signature and even Neo Zeon's signature in the future isn't worth the cost of the ink, Brian. It's not worth anything.
Which we've seen come true several times in the right timeline. So it's perhaps this was giving them a little, bit of the truth earlier on.
True. At the same time, though, we all know the Earth Federation is, boy, what a... it's a half-dumb government sometimes, and just caving into Neo Zeon or half-switching sides or listening to the Titans and then listening to Alg. It really depends. But I think from this point onward, in future wars, almost nobody is willing to stay neutral as far as like neutral sides or Luna, because you kind of assume, oh, it's not going to get respected. We better pick a side.
Oh, that's a good point, right? Because you're saying Side 6, they had their hand up, right? Saying, I'm neutral, blah, blah, blah. And what did they get for it? They got nuked.
Exactly. Yeah. Luna, the culture there was always so isolationist and neutral from what we see in 0083 and what we hear from Nina and other people. But I think it would lose that a viewpoint in their culture. They'd have to start being more aligned to the Federation. I think this continues even more further forward. Actually, well, getting back to your sort of hypothesis with the Baoku. Yeah, I would absolutely see even Revel. Perhaps, definitely. I think there's more probably. Maybe I can't be certain, but if Tiana was around, sure. If well, he wouldn't be around. He died at Solomon. But other people, Earl Grey.
Right. Yeah, I think you would attract more moderates, right, to your cause.
Yeah, we have to stop what's left of Zeon.
Right.
We know they're gonna do something. And even if they agree not to, we can't believe it.
Right, because they just disrespected the biggest treaty you have to that point.
Yeah, if they're going to disrespect an agreement that, like, harms a neutral spacenoids and their spacenoids, they're not going to listen to any agreement that we sign with them.
Right.
So, yes, form up some new asteroid fleet, and then we build, like, Rock Gundam, and then we go after them. Because that's its own side story.
It's all rock song soundtrack in Mobile Suit Rock Gundam.
Oh, God. That'd be pretty cool, though.
I think that's a good point because I think it's easier to get people onto your side to finish the job when you're already at war, right?
Yeah.
Because the momentum's already going. The war machine's already going. You're building Gundams, you're building mobile suits. You don't need to turn the machine off. The Titans were interesting because obviously it's retrofitted into continuity by 0083, but you needed that like inflection point of Operation Stardust to get people going again. But here, if that point comes when the war machine hasn't turned off, I think absolutely you'll get people onto your side and they will go forward.
Yeah, to an extent, Jamatov and Colony don't really need their conspiracy for 0083.
No, they don't.
If they move fast enough and say, look, this is proof. These space noids, you can't trust them as far as you could throw them. And it just, this is nuts. What are we doing? We have to, use the iron fist, bring them back under control. Anything Zeon has to be wiped out. We're starting now.
Right.
Proto-Titans now.
And then if we take that a step further, and then if you think, okay, you're accelerating essentially the first Neo-Zeon war, how would that be different? I think the major thing that would be different is that if you look at how things played out in 0087, 0086, whatever. Mm-hmm. Maharaja Karn died in 0083, and that's when Haman took over at Shar's suggestion. But when she took over in 0083, she was only 16. But if this happened in 0079, Isaac, or 0080, she'd still be pretty young, and I don't think she would be old enough to take over. So, who's the most obvious leader left? It would be your favorite character,
Oh my god.
It would
not Char.
It would be Char. He would need to rise earlier
God.
as the leader. And think about it. If you're Zeon, or what's left of Zeon, and they're retreating to Axis, and they've got forces there already, with the Proto-Titans on their way, Hamon's too young, so Char, he's got to step up. Maybe he steps up as Casval this time. And then you end up with basically a sooner version of Char's counterattack.
So you think Char gets to Axis before the Republic of Zeon's occupied?
Well, I don't think...
Well, actually, if anyone can do it, it's him.
I think the Republic of Zeon gets occupied, but I think they don't go right to Axis. I think they have to regroup a bit, create a new fleet. It's going to take a few months, and because the asteroid belt's far away. It's not. Yeah. It's not a hop, skip, and a jump. They're not.
Sure.
You're not just boosted over there with whatever fuel you have left. So that's a bigger journey. So in that time, he's got to muster his forces. Otherwise, they're going to get crushed.
I just don't see the Federation just letting the Republic of Zeon get restored and stay there. I think they'd absolutely occupy it and say, look, we're going to de-Zeon you because we're not going to have another neutral colony get nuked. We've all been through hell.
I agree, but I'm saying those people, they already left. Like, they're on their way to Axis. I think the same amount of people that left in the normal timeline to Axis leave in this version of the timeline.
I think it would be not the same amount, but some people do get there.
So I'm saying you force Char out of hiding sooner, and then you basically have an earlier version of Zeta Gundam, but it plays out with tech that's a lot closer to 0083 than it is to Zeta era tech.
Yeah.
So, and then interestingly, do you think the Federation would use Amuro? Because they kind of hamstrung them a bit in the years off. But in this case, there's no real time off. They just kind of keep going. Maybe they take a month or two off, prep, and then they leave. Do they give Bright and Amuro a new Pegasus-class warship, a new Gundam, the Alex Unit 2? They build them a new one, they just ship them off? Does Char get a cool Gelgoog or something? Maybe he uses that precursor to the Neue Zeal. What's it called? The 0GR or something like that? I think we'd have a final battle with Zeon a lot sooner.
Yeah.
Maybe with a lot less new type tech.
You make a lot of sense. And although Axis would definitely be where they gather to after this sequence of events, I kind of feel like in this version of the timeline, because there's less support for Neo Zeon coming back from the colonies after seeing what happened to a neutral colony, we get a version of Neo Zeon that's closer to the sleeves, where they're almost cell-based.
Yeah.
They're less about openly controlling different colonies and much more just an organization that's kind of distributed throughout loyal areas of colonies. Maybe even an entire colony doesn't even know they're operating, but yeah, they're much more insidious and hidden as a Neo Zeon force.
Yeah, that's true. I guess you wouldn't attract a lot of Zeon remnants with sympathy, right?
Yeah.
You wouldn't have that sort of nostalgia for the old Zeon, perhaps as much.
It would only be the diehards that absolutely believe the propaganda that either the Federation did it to themselves or someone rogue that doesn't believe in the true ideals of Neo Zeon did it, and they were, under the control of the dirty Zabi family or something like that.
Right. Yeah.
You'd only get those diehards joining.
You only get the people that would be okay with nuking that colony.
Pretty much, or at least understand that, this wasn't, actual Zeon. This was the bad version of Zeon. We're the true version of Zeon. We're Char's Zeon.
Not my Zeon, yeah.
Yeah. It's like, okay, sure. Whatever, buddy.
Do you think Zeon members, because there's so many versions of Zeon, right? Do you think they stop and ask each other, like, wait, which Zeon are you part of? Like,
they kind of don't have a chance because each version of Zeon is destroyed and knocked down to rubble and then built back up. And you don't really get a choice, really. In some ways, it's a lot of ways, it's like the political parties here in the U.S., where it's like, well, there's two sides. Each election, you're probably going to go to bat for your side.
Right.
So much in the same way, yeah. If you're in space and there's a war and you're kind of against the Federation, guess what? No matter what Neo Zeon's about, you're going to side with Neo Zeon.
And by the way, Isaac, in this scenario, I don't really think there's a scenario where if you engage Axis Zeon that early on, I don't think there's a scenario where they win.
No, that's why I think Char going to a sort of proto-sleeves version is his best bet, because they're able to literally hide under the Federation's nose a lot of the time and then just keep up the war like that without saying openly, we control side 3 or side 9 or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of their stuff was developed at Axis, though. Like, if they go capture Axis, I don't know that they have enough to keep fighting.
That's true, but you have to remember, Daegwin's old network is still spread throughout the Earth sphere.
Still churning, yeah.
Yeah, and Anaheim, as we know, Anaheim would sell out their own mother
Yeah.
for a nickel. So they'll do the same for Neo Zeon, even if it's in a smaller, more distributed form. They'll absolutely fund both sides of that war. And then, of course, we have other factors to take into account, like the Jupiter Empire also.
Oh,
Brian.
yes. I was just about to bring up Mars as well, but yeah, you brought up Jupiter.
Mars Zeon.
Yeah, well, because think about it, right? If Axis got attacked or something like that, then more people would go to Mars if you were going to be a Zeon person still, perhaps. Maybe Mars gets more built up in the next 50 years than it turned out to be built up.
Mars would become Axis's Axis.
Sure. Maybe that would have been a smarter play. Go there instead of Axis. I don't know.
Maybe, but again, we have to remember how difficult Mars Zeon found it to actually do anything of note.
Sure.
Like they had a window of like a few weeks each year to actually somewhat attack Earth. And when they actually did it, they destroyed their own base.
Yeah, which, by the way, listeners, Zeonic has finished translating Fastest Formula, and he's currently translating the new Cluster Gundam manga, which I believe continues our favorite Formula Wars era stuff. So that'll be fun to read at some point. I think Mars Zeon is back. We get more details on them. I think the guy who was it Silhouette Formula, or maybe it was F90 that we see him again, Bosch, I think. So I know he's in one of them. So that'll be fun to read.
Man, yeah. Something I've kind of thought about in this scenario too, Brian, is 083. How would the sequence of events there, assuming they'd obviously almost inch closer towards the 1 year war, how would they be affected? And I think, assuming Cohen goes ahead with his plan to make a Gundam that shoots a nuke, the blowback to it by either Delaz or another fleet, or some other organization even, would be almost catastrophic for the Federation, with the outcry from the colonies now realizing that, oh my God, Zeon would openly nuke colonies that are neutral, but now the Federation's willing to build a mobile suits designed to take out an entire colony on its own. This is, we're living in a hellscape dystopia. So now the Federation would have to deal with some type of new version of not Zeon, because that memory stained, but a wholly new version uprising. So we might see Crossbone Vanguard and Zanscare sooner in this timeline also.
I like that. It feels like it would be, I'm going to call it Zeon, even though it wouldn't be Zeon, but it would be a Zeon based more on peace rather than space noid independence.
A Zeon based,
like an anti-WMD Zeon of just like, hey, leave us alone. They're not necessarily asking for space noid independence, but they're asking for space noid peace, I guess, or space noid neutrality.
I don't know. I'd see them wanting to secede from the Earth Federation like they always do.
Oh, no, I agree, but I think it would be predicated on, because I feel like Zeon's is like, no, we just don't want you to govern us.
Yeah.
But this new one would be like, we don't want you to govern us because you're going to nuke us, type of thing. I feel like there's more reason in the second version of that.
Definitely. I see it more along those lines, whatever comes out of it, but either identical to Crossbone and Zanscare, or similar to those organizations. They themselves would not use nukes and instead rely on other types of horrible weapons and technologies, such as the bugs and Angel Halo or Kailas Geely, things like that.
Where does Jupiter fit in here?
So Jupiter...
Do you think the Federation would have paid more attention to Jupiter, not having Zeon to worry about?
I think, actually, ironically, the Jupiter Empire would have gotten much more vocal about how loyal they are to the Federation and all that. They would stop saying, oh, we're so neutral. Instead, they say, oh, no, we're loyal to the Federation and stuff. But of course, in the meantime, just continue their same plans of galactic domination.
Yeah.
So I don't think actually too much would change other than how the Jupiter Empire sort of marketing themselves.
It's pretty funny, right? How the Federation was just kind of like, I don't know, they're kind of far away. You think they're going to do anything? And then someone else was like, nah, that's too far. I can't, whatever.
Ironically, they almost destroyed actually one of the few factions that almost entirely destroyed the Earth.
They were pretty successful, reasonably, for their size, yeah.
For one ship, they did really well. I mean, it was a big ship, but sure. Still. Something else I put in my notes is Commander Killing. In this timeline, he already showed he's openly willing to kill members of his chain of command, and he gets off the successful nuking of the colony. Commander Killing, conceivably, considering he killed the general above him in front of other officers or at least other enlisted, Commander Killing could potentially make his own Delaz fleet that becomes a bit of a thorn in the side of the Federation because they're sort of a mobile nuclear fleet, Brian. They're diehard Zeon fanatics, and they've got nukes, and that's their thing.
And if he really wanted to get crafty about it, he could blame the nuke on Rugans and say he shot Rugans after he ordered it done.
Brilliant.
If he wanted to avoid blame for the whole situation.
Wow.
I was thinking about this, Isaac. Killing, I couldn't remember if he died in the show, and I just looked at the wiki, and that's right. It says Killing's fate is not shown in War in the Pocket. However, in Mobile Suit Era Pictorial, upon hearing of the death of Giran, he immediately commits suicide in front of his portrait by shooting himself. However, the Gundam Perfect file treats Killing's suicide with some level of skepticism, noting that there are many unclear points surrounding his death, and that the possibility that Killing was murdered and set up to look like a suicide cannot be ruled out. Oh, so that's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, we'll never know. He could have gone to Axis under a new name or gone into civilian hiding like Maneva, who was also someone worthy of talking about.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Yeah, there's actually a nice little mural, I'll call it, a nice little drawing of his suicide, of him in front of the Giran, the Giran painting.
One of Brian's nice murals. Just blew his brains out in front of Giran.
He got all that blood splatter on the mural, Isaac. You ruined it.
Brian, would you rather have this photo of Giran or the one Guineas has of Dagon?
No, you got to take the Dagon one, right?
Yeah, that one's... See, this one's at a bad angle, too, of Giran. You know, Dagon's one, it's like, oh, he's definitely running everything.
Well, what about Maneva? So you brought up Maneva. Where do you see this going for her?
So, unfortunately, Maneva, despite your golden heart and your adorable little face, unfortunately, as the sole heir to Zeon and the Zombies, and I'm not counting Char, because say what you will about Char, and you know, oh, he's right, and you got a bunch of fans and stuff. Char puts himself into the line of danger all the time. So those dice are going to come up bad for him sooner or later, probably against Amuro in this timeline.
Yeah.
So we know Char's on borrowed time. Maneva, on the other hand, is almost never in combat. So Maneva, unfortunately, as the last zombie and the highest sort of notable person of Zeon, connected to Zeon at least, that remains, will unfortunately be a Scarlet Letter person. She'll be bearing this mark of shame and hostility for the rest of her life, however long or short that is, because of how devastating this act was for Zeon's reputation in the future. They're not remembered as this force that was fighting against the Federation for Space Node independence. They instead get remembered for so murderous they would destroy neutral colonies after the signing of the Antarctic Treaty, which was never done in the original timeline. So yes, Maneva, you might get taken out. You might have to live as a pariah. You might be better off disappearing under a new name, but you should not, and probably cannot, take the place as Neo Zeon's leader, because that will just justify the Proto-Titans, Future Titans, Neo-Titans, whatever, against you.
We'll see what she does. She just lets Glemmy do it, and then when he screws it up, she's like, no, that was Glemmy. He's an idiot. Like, I'm peaceful.
Glemmy?
This is a Neo Zeon, over here. Neo Peaceful Zeon.
Brian, Maneva was involved in running a faction for multiple series. Glemmy couldn't run it for a few episodes without being killed.
Well, I'm just saying he's related to Giran, so
that's what they say.
There's another zombie out there. He may not be the most legitimate like Maneva.
He doesn't strike me as the type to be pulling off Delaz type plans and strategies. Say what you will about Delaz, but he was a man that could plan things. Glemmy is just a kid in a cockpit.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I like his uniform.
Yeah, I like the kind of chest sort of
the asymmetrical chest piece thing. It's kind of cool. I like that.
I was always wondering about that. I was like, is that armor?
It's kind of like extra armor over the heart. I kind of like that. Yeah.
There a weapon in there in case, I don't know, someone tries to gun you down for being related to Giran?
It's very anime 80s, and I love it. I think it's got a good style.
Yeah. What else did I put here, Brian, in my notes? Veteran Zeon pilots, a lot of them, kind of the Rambaral cut, are disgusted by the nuking of Raya, except for the diehards, and there's always diehards in situations like this.
Sure.
And speaking of Zeon pilots, this timeline means that Kelly Lasner never rebuilds the Valvaro.
You're right. I think people like Kelly, I think even if you think about the Kimberlite forces from 0083,
Yeah.
Or even like the Zeon remnants we saw in Double Zeta in, I think it was Africa. They had a very noble air about them.
Yes.
I think less than half of them would approve of the nuking of the colony.
Yeah, we get that divide, just like we see in the Federation with the, you get your Noahs or you get your Ohms.
Right.
In Zeon, you get your Rawls and you get your Killings.
Yeah.
And the Killings are gonna join the Killing fleet, but
Right.
the Rawls and the Kimberlites, they're gonna hang up their uniforms and start a potato farm or something.
Potato farming will be off the charts because Gato won't be there to blow up your North American granaries.
Sadly, that means the potatoes will cost less because there's no food shortage.
French fries for everybody.
In this timeline, though, Brian, because 0083 doesn't happen, and in a way doesn't need to happen for the Titans to even justify their existence, this means a Solar System 2 never fails. So, a Grips laser is never developed by the Titans themselves.
Yeah, I like that. Maybe they don't develop the Grips laser, but I bet you they turn a Baoku into a laser somehow.
Ooh, interesting.
They still saw the solar ray.
They turn it into a colony ram.
Yeah. Asteroid laser. Have we done that in Gundam? Maybe we should do an asteroid laser next.
What's an asteroid laser?
It's just like a colony laser, but bigger because it's an asteroid.
That doesn't make any sense.
It's more stable,
saying,
because it's a big rock.
We're going to make a lava missile.
Look, I'm just saying, those colonies are made out of paper mache. You think about it, right?
Lava missile. You can't shoot it down because it's made out of hot lava.
Just a big thing of hot lava traveling through space.
It turns the colony into lava.
It's the fiercest weapon you've ever seen.
Okay. On a more sort of minute note, the destruction of Raya. Unfortunately, you lose the Gundam Alex.
Sure.
Assuming it didn't get out. And I always assume it didn't get out because a lot was going on inside. Even if they wanted to get the Alex out and the Grey Phantom, a lot had happened in the battle inside the colony.
Sure.
I don't think anyone was going to get it out too soon.
No.
They were just hoping that the fleet would be able to stop Von Helsing and his fleet. Technically, Von Helsing may have been able to shoot the missile without his fleet being stopped. Who knows?
That's why it was so silly when he just didn't do anything. That goes back to the whole, I can't hear you. I don't know what order you were possibly calling to give me at this very crucial point in time.
Oh, so you think even if Von Helsing won the battle against the Federation fleet, he still wouldn't have nuked the colony?
I mean, I don't think
he
it
would have
really
made an excuse.
Yeah, I don't think it really states it outright in the show. But I mean, if I recall, they give a very pensive scene of him just kind of sitting in his chair and not really acting, and I kind of took that to mean that his heart wasn't in it. He didn't want to do it.
Yeah, and the last we hear of him is he surrendered.
Right, he surrendered. So he's like, well, whatever.
If the colony is destroyed, though, with the Gundam Alex along with it, that means because the whole research unit is lost. So the team that was there, the pilot, of course, Christina's dies. The whole science team that was there dies. The people that were with Anaheim there, right? And the guy in the chair, he dies too. So all the data is lost and magnetic coding research is set back. Pretty minute, but I think that either line of research stops or it's just delayed.
I mean, maybe you get the Gundam project a little earlier.
Oh, let's see. To an extent, because we're now sort of in a agreements don't matter world. To the extent they can, future Gundams and mobile suits, maybe they get bulkier in response to this, hoping that they'll be able to weather nuclear damage, much like how the Unit 2 is a very bulky mobile suit, very bulky Gundam, but my God, could it withstand its own nuclear blast? It still took damage, unfortunately, but it lived.
Yeah, it just had a broken arm, but it seems mostly fine.
Yeah, so mobile suits and future Gundams take that into account, though. We're probably going to see bright flashes.
I wonder what Gundam you would use. Like, say you sent Amuro off. He gets back to base after losing the RX-78, but you were going to keep going. What do you give him right away? Are there many? I don't remember what Gundams are even available at that time. Most of the other ones are other places on the battlefield. He might have to wait a little while. Maybe you think they just give him a gym or something? He
won't wait long, Brian, because unfortunately, canon has now established that there were hundreds of Gundams running around the 1 Year War all over the Earth sphere. My God. He's going to get shipped one pretty quick, even if they have to take it away from like Shiro or something.
Or, Isaac, they did take that extra Zeong into custody. What if they ship him out in a Zeong? That'd be fun.
Oh, God. I don't see the Federation doing that. I don't think they've ever... Okay, with the exception of the beginning of the 1 Year War, as we saw in Igloo, they never pilot captured Zeon suits.
Yeah, I mean, not usually.
But now the nukes are going off.
Well, yeah. But they also just took command over a whole bunch of good Zeon stuff. So, he might get in one and just take off.
Well, He's hard to stop. Actually, the whole white base in general is hard to stop. And if Rebel's still around at this time, depending on how the sequence of events went, he might be okay with it.
There's also the question of like if Amuro would even go along with it. I mean, he was pretty burnt out. I don't think he really wanted to fight anymore. Yeah. So he may have just took a core fighter out and flew to the moon, and just no one ever would have heard from him again.
Who could blame him? But then again, no, Amuro's too good of a guy. The news would have gotten to him as he's realizing just how the war's not ending. Even if Neo Zeon gets this stain on it that no one wants to support anymore. And the best Char hopes for in his Neo Zeon is this shadowy group hiding in the undersides of colonies, striking when they can. There's going to be other seceding sides, other sides that say, we don't want the Federation because they nuke. We don't want the Zeon because they nuke. We just want to be on our own. Instead of nukes, we've got this brand new super weapon we've cooked up. And now begins another war that Amuro has to sit on the sidelines and watch.
Yeah, that's definitely possible.
It would get to him.
I guess it's also possible that Char is just like, this is an unwinnable situation and I don't want to do it. But I feel like if you don't have a charismatic leader for this early Axis Zeon, then they just fall apart.
Yeah, you'd be dealing with maybe multiple Delaz fleets at that point, just sort of snuffing out these diehards that, sure, they might give a good speech now and again, but overall, it's just a small group. Like, we're going to get them sooner or later.
Yeah, you could have different factions. You could have like Delaz, Shima, people like those. They would never work together very well, I don't think, without someone to coalesce around.
Well, that's a good question. Would Shima work with Delaz if the Titans weren't really going to string her along?
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, I don't know. That's too hard to look. Well, God, Shima could be 5 episodes.
I mean, I guess Maharaja Khan wouldn't be dead. I mean, maybe he could do it. I don't think we know enough about him to feel like if he would be that successful or not.
He always came off as just a bureaucrat to me.
Right.
I mean, yes, it's impressive that he pulled together people to Axis and kind of got the foundation and then died, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But we've never heard of him leading a fleet. We've never heard of him tied to a huge victory or battle. We've never heard him tied to super weapon development or new mobile suit weapon development.
Right.
He was very much a part of the system, and I think that was about it. That might have been what saved him if he was back on the Zeon homeland and he got on the first ship to Axis.
You know who would have hated this, but probably would have been swallowed up by the Federation was Darcia Bakharov.
Darcia, yeah. That would have doomed his hopes for the Republic of Zeon.
Right, yeah.
There's no getting away now. Probably, I assume, help the transition to an occupied state.
Yeah, he'd be pleading a useless cause otherwise.
Pretty much. He would be the manager when it's taken over and just, well, this is the best we can hope for. Look, we showed you that we're not a bad people. We just have bad people in ourselves.
Yeah. Do you think Giran would have approved of the nuke?
I'm going to say no, because Giran... Oh, let's see. This is a difficult question.
Was he like, he wouldn't have approved of it, but he didn't mind it either?
I don't think he would have approved. Number one, it was too late in the war. Number two, well, he wouldn't know it was too late in the war because he was hoping the story would save
Sure,
him.
Yeah. He was going to fight forever, Isaac.
It's hard to say. I'm going to say he wouldn't have liked it because he did not authorize it. The only times after the NRA tree, the nukes were kind of potentially used.
It was all your buddy Makuve.
Yeah, pretty much. But the first time Makuve was told to launch in Kuguru's Dones Island, that was by order of Giran. So he was okay with taking out, Earth cities using those nukes.
Yeah.
In the Battle of Odessa, that wasn't Giran at all. And I assume he never found out. Otherwise, Makuve might have died because, well, a missile got launched from Makuve's forces and then shot down.
Yeah.
That's kind of the extent of what happened. But I think Giran wants control over his own forces. Bad enough he has to spar with Caecilia and, still kneel to Dagwin to get what he wants. But yeah, he would not have been happy with Killing doing something this large of a scope without orders.
I wonder if Killing I'd have to rewatch the show. I wonder if he even told anyone that he really had those nukes.
Well, if his commander knew, his general knew, and then I assume everyone above him knew that he could technically access them, it would have been known to the people that mattered.
Okay.
Then again, what are you going to say? How did things play out after he killed Ruger?
That's the thing. I don't think we saw him that much, really, after he gave the order and it was disobeyed.
That's the last scene of Killing and Ruger.
Yeah, I mean, unless you go obviously read whatever it was, the perfect file or whatnot. It's very similar to how Captain Synapse's fate is not shown, and you have to read about it afterwards.
Oh, then that was so frustrating too, because Synapse is some ways better than Bright.
What a hornet's nest, Isaac. This really is. A lot of ways to go with this, but I think overall it doesn't do anything good for Zeon. I think they all die sooner.
Yeah, if anything, it by its very act being destruction sooner, it causes the destruction of Zeon itself sooner.
Absolutely. That's how I see this going too.
But unfortunately, because of human nature and a lot of other factors, it does not bring peace closer to the Earth sphere. Instead, we will get similar factions like Crossbone Vanguard and Zanscare sooner, who obviously don't need to rely on nukes because they have their own versions of powerful weapons, and more problems for the Earth's Federation happen regardless of the nuking or the not nuking of poor Raya.
And Colonel von Helsing turned out to be quite the pivotal character, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I mean, I'd put it to... Yeah, you're right. It was actually Hellsing. I was about to say Alfred.
Yeah.
But then again, nobody believed him about the nuke, right?
No, not really.
I was about to say Alfred was involved in saving and alerting people, but no, he really wasn't.
Yeah.
He just got like a horrifying, oh God, that's its own level of horror, that Alfred's nightmare would come true when he was in the arcade.
Yeah.
Man, how terrible.
Mobile Suit Gundam, Alfred's nightmare.
Yeah. Mobile Suit Gundam. How terrible.
Oh, man.
Well, listeners.
I enjoyed that. A little romp down nuclear lane.
Friendly reminder, listeners, nuclear weapons are real.
Yeah.
The horror continues in our world.
Yeah, I kind of like Von Helsing being a pivotal character, though, because if you are someone that has your finger on the trigger of a nuclear weapon, I mean, that's a heavy decision. So Von Helsing made a good decision in this case, I think.
In a way, he might be one of the best Zeon officers, if not the best Zeon officer, just for refusing to go ahead with a pretty clear order.
Pretty good for a guy that probably has like 4 lines in the show, but...
Yeah, and is named the sinister name Von Helsing.
Von Helsing.
You think his chevets are sort of modified to carry nukes? That's why they look so unique?
In universe, yeah, maybe. I don't know.
That's a lot of nukes.
And maybe they were just a late model chevet.
Okay, but man, God, it looks great. It looks fast too.
It does.
I even like the color. It looks like it could just outrun those rocket Solomuses that they sent out on the fastest chevet I've ever seen.
Maybe he paints it red to go faster.
Oh yeah. You need some stripes.
Yeah, get some stripes on that
You're
thing.
going to want some stripes.
Yeah. And a big sign that says, definitely not carrying nukes.
Yeah. We respect neutrality.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
All right, listeners, let us know what you think would have happened if Von Helsing had obeyed Colonel Killing's order and nuked the Side 6 colony from 0080 War in the Pocket.
And if you don't know what we're talking about, go watch 0080 War in the Pocket.
Yeah, and go sympathize with Alfred.
Brian are going to start a Christmas tradition where we watch it every Christmas.
Oh.
You have to eat bread like that one scene.
We'll start a charity, Alfred's Angels.
Alfred's Angels. Oh. For what? Victims of...
Yeah, victims of colony attacks.
Christina's concussed kids.
Oh,
for
jeez.
victims of people being hit with a baseball bat.
Oh, man.
Poor Bernie. He got hit in the head with a baseball bat.
Yeah, no, I bet he could have done better in that final fight if he wasn't concussed.
He had to. There has to be a way they tested that, right?
Yeah.
At this point in the military, they're like, well, we have to give our prize a concussion and then see how they do.
Poor guy was so smitten with her, though. He's like, no, it's fine. I'm okay. I'm fine. Just...
She was rude, though. She didn't even offer to take him to the hospital or call an ambulance. Not that he wanted to go and he would find every excuse to leave so he doesn't get caught, but...
Probably went home and just threw up multiple times with his concussion.
Yeah. I'm from Australia. It's summer over there. You idiot.
So it goes. All right, Isaac, listeners, let us know. Isaac, take us away.
All right, listeners, before you go to sleep tonight, stand next to your bed. Get on your knees, put your hands together, look up at the ceiling, and hail Von Helsing.
Good night, everybody.